Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us or joining me. I just want to make sure if you can hear me, if you can say in the chat, yes. Okay, great. Thanks. Awesome. Let me share the screen. When I share the screen, I cannot see the chat. So if you have any questions, you can submit it in the chat, but I just won't be able to see it until the end when I end the presentation. So if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat and I will try to address them at the end. Okay, so welcome. If you are here, that means you are interested in studying abroad in Italy this upcoming semester. Um, we are going to go over the Italian visa, the process, documents, that sort of thing. But before that, uh, here's the agenda. The documents that you need to gather, as well as where you can get those documents or who provides them, some general costs that come to, in regards with the visa, information on traveling, sessions that we might have later in the semester, general turnaround time, and as I mentioned earlier, Q&A. So again, any questions, you can submit it in the chat and I will take a look at the end of this presentation and answer them. For those who might join in later or join in now, this session is being recorded, so we will share that with everyone. So you can always refer back to this if you have any questions on what was said. But if you have a EU passport, if you have a Italian citizenship, don't have a passport, are an international student or currently abroad, or any situation that we should be made aware of, make sure to reach out to me or anyone in the office, advisor, etc., so that we can see if there's any like additional guidance we can provide in your situation. So please make sure to reach out. So we're going to go over the overall process. So for GW, our office can provide batch processing. What that means is that students are able to submit their visa application to us, and then we gather them as a group and submit it in one appointment with the Italian embassy. It's been kind of iffy these past cycles just because the Italian embassy here in DC is currently understaffed. So there's two options you can go when obtaining your visa. It's either to apply independently, so you set up an appointment with the embassy and submit your documents, or you apply through us. But please keep in mind, we're still trying to figure out the actual details if batch process is going to be possible this semester. So any dates or information that mentions about batch, it can be tentative. So if you're able to get an appointment on your own, we definitely recommend you to do that. Just in case, the embassy decides that batch process isn't possible. So please keep that in mind. But again, we'll go over the information. It'll be similar to if you're applying independently as in the batch, just like minus a few documents, but for the most part, it's the same. Okay, the first is to confirm your commitment to a program in Italy. So if you've opened an application with Italy and you know for sure that you are planning to attend there, you should definitely start thinking about getting your visa or getting any documents that require more time. We will go over later on the documents you need to gather. Some you can gather in a day, others might require additional steps and can take a little longer. So we will go over that. We will have some sessions later in the semester where you can attend and have your documents reviewed by one of our staff or our SACAs, our student workers. They will have an extra pair of eyes. Again, we can't guarantee that, even if we review it, there's going to be no issues because ultimately it's up to the discretion of the Italian embassy. But for the most part, having another second pair of eyes, has been fruitful. We have been able to catch some like mistakes before submission. So definitely take advantage of that. If you're doing a batch, make sure you drop off your application to us by the deadline. Deadline right now is tentative, so just keep a lookout for any emails from us mentioning the actual deadline. And then if we do batch, OSA will pick it up from the Italian embassy and bring it back to our office, and then you can pick it up in person, or there are some like mailing options available, but that'll be for an additional fee. If you are doing individually, then you submit your application yourself and you would pick it up yourself as well in person. Okay, so let's go over the documents you need to gather for your visa application. The first one is you need a completed application form. So you will be filling out a national visa application form for a type D or long stay visa. Make sure it's for a long stay visa over 90 days. We will provide you a document, the form from, the embassy. We will share it in a box folder so you can easily access that there. You have the option to fill it out by hand or type it out. Just keep in mind that if you do type out the application form, make sure you print it and then sign it by hand. The Italian embassy and pretty much any government, of course, wants a wet signature. So just remember to print it before signing it. If you're doing individually, you will sign it when you go to your appointment. The second is a passport size photo on a white background. So make sure, your standard passport style photos, nothing's covering your face, no shadows, just white background, and that you have it printed on printer paper, the matte glossy paper, and not regular printer paper that you can, when you print your assignments, etc. So always go to, I don't know, a CVS, a FedEx, they have those options. Print to, or have to, just in case for backups, but make sure it's in color. The next is a valid passport. Students are required to have a passport and it needs to be valid at least 6 months after the program end date. So if your passport expires anytime before the 6 months after your program end date, then you most likely will need to renew your passport before you start the visa application. So if you don't have a passport or if you need to renew it, definitely start on that if you're planning to study abroad. Your passport needs to have at least 2 blank pages because they will be affixing the visa onto or into your passport, which is why you need those 2 blank pages. You will need a photocopy of your passport, so the signature and the biometrics page. Make sure you scan that. Next, you need a photocopy of your driver's license and student ID. So it can be driver's license or your government state ID, either or is fine, but also, a scanned copy of your G World. Because you are applying through DC or through the batch with us through DC, your G World is proof that you are a resident here. So as a GW student, you get to apply through DC. If you don't want to apply through DC, you can apply through your home jurisdiction. So whichever consulate covers your home jurisdiction, you can apply there. But we always recommend students to kind of apply through DC just because we are more familiar with that. If you apply in your home jurisdiction, it is your responsibility to do your research in case there's any differences in the visa fee or any additional documents that might be needed. Um, Italy requires you to have a confirmed round trip flight. Um, so they want to make sure that you already have your flights booked entering Italy as well as exiting Italy. They want to make sure you're not overstaying in your program length. We tell students to book mm, 1 or 2 days before or after their program start dates and end dates, roughly around there, um, and to book it flexible in case there's any changes in, the program dates or once you have your visa. Proof of health insurance. Students are required to show that they are covered throughout their whole entire stay in Italy. So you will provide that, or your program will provide that. An original and copy of your acceptance letter. So you will need to have 2 copies. Um, one of them is going to be stamped by the embassy and to return to you with your visa. And you will need to take this with you to Italy. So make sure you have 2 copies because one of them is going to be returned with a stamp from the embassy or consulate if you go through your home jurisdiction. You need an original and copy of the confirmation of enrollment from the US. So this will be provided by the Office for Study Abroad to you. It will be uploaded in your document section of your GW passport application. For those who are doing batch, if you don't see it in your document section by the time you need to submit your application to us, no worries, we are aware and we will make sure to add it to your application. For students who are applying individually, make sure to reach out, especially if you already have an appointment, so that we can have those letters ready before your appointment. Okay, proof of accommodation. Italy wants to make sure that you have a place to stay when you arrive to Italy. Sometimes your acceptance letters will combine your insurance and accommodation in your acceptance letter, so that'll be the proof. Others might give you a separate letter stating that you have housing with them, or if you are doing a program like a GW exchange program or direct enroll, you might be responsible to finding your own housing. So however you book your housing, make sure you print that confirmation or reservation. Make sure your name is visible, the dates that you are acquiring or having that housing for, as well as the address. So make sure those 3 things are in your proof or reservation. Next is the proof of financial means. So this is the section where students kind of have trouble with. So there's 2 ways you can show proof. The first is to provide your 3 most recent bank statements, so your individual bank statements. Each bank statement's ending balance needs to be a minimum 1,000 per month of stay. So for example, in fall, some programs are 4 months, so it's 1,000 times 4 months, 4,000. So each bank statement had to be roughly 4,000, 4,000, 4,000. If you feel like you don't have the 4,000 ending balance, which is sometimes a lot to have, you can also go through your dependence route. So going through your parents' financial information. So if you decide to go and use your parents' information, your parent needs to complete a notarized affidavit of support, which is basically a letter stating what's their relationship to you and that they're going to cover your finances while abroad. So they will complete that and they will go to a public notary and have that notarized. This needs to be the original. So if your parent does not live in DC or near here, where you can easily access that letter from them, they will need to mail that to you. It can't be a scanned copy. It needs to be the original. So this is one of the documents that might take a while, depending your parent when they fill it out and how long it takes to arrive to you. So I would start on getting this if you are planning to, go this route. The next is a copy of the student's birth certificate. So it's your certificate, not your parents' birth certificate. They just want to make sure what's the relationship between the person sponsoring you and you. So they most likely will just check that, your parents' name is on your birth certificate and it matches whoever is providing the affidavit of support. They need to have a copy of your sponsor's passport or ID. So whichever parent fills out the affidavit needs to provide a scanned copy of their, passport or ID. And of course, the sponsor's most recent bank statements. That's a typo. Um, it says most recent to be on the safe side. We're telling students that to have their parents provide their 3 most recent bank statements. So whoever is providing that, you can do that. Some questions that students ask is if your name is in the account, but it also has your parents their names, can I use that bank statement? And the answer is yes. As long as your name is somewhere in that bank statement, addressed to, etc., then you can use that as your own bank statement and you can avoid providing the additional documents. Some asked if we can use, what is that form? It's that educational savings account. I forgot what the number is. And the answer is yes, you can use that as well. It's still a checking or savings account, so you can use that. The next is the visa fee. Last cycle, it was $56.60. But please hold off on purchasing it just until we verify if there's any like updated fee. So again, if you're doing the batch, you will need to purchase a money order with that exact amount. If you're going individually, you will pay either with a money order or with the exact cash at your time of your appointment. But hold off on purchasing any money orders just because the fee is uncertain if it'll change. Okay, so on the screen, you will see a screenshot of the form. This is the National Visa Application Form. You can see in the top, it says D. Make sure it's this form. If you're applying in a different consulate, of course, it won't say embassy that's in DC. It'll probably say consulate of wherever you're applying from. But just keep in mind, if you're not applying through DC, the forms that we share are from DC. So you're going to have to get the forms from the consulate you're applying if not through DC. It'll ask your general information, names, date of birth, and here are some tips to keep in mind when filling this out. For type of travel document, which is number 11, you're going to check mark ordinary passport. For current occupation, which is number 18, you're going to put student. Even if you have a part-time job at the moment, your current occupation shall still say student. Your main purpose of study or main purpose of your journey is going to be study. And you will make sure not to fill out anything on the right side on this column. That is the embassy's side. And for your passport photo, don't glue it, just like paper clip it. Here's the second page. Some things to keep in mind for number of entries requested, which is this number, I believe is 23, got cut off. You are going to select multiple entries. This allows you to, travel or enter the country multiple times. So if you're planning to travel in Europe, which most students do, definitely select multiple entries. For costs of traveling, which is number 28, you're going to check off the applicant, so you, and the means of support. So however you're going to spend money in Italy. Most students check off cash, credit cards. If your program has accommodation, then you check off prepaid accommodation. And you are not going to fill out this section. This doesn't apply. Skip all the way to the bottom, which is 31 and 32. You're gonna place and date. So wherever you are, if you're in DC while signing this form, you're gonna put Washington, DC, and the date and your wet signature here. Again, as I mentioned, if you complete this form on the computer, make sure you print it and then sign it. If you're applying individually, don't sign it until you are your appointment. You'll sign it then in front of the um, consul. But if you are doing our batch, then you will sign it and date it and place it before you submit it to us. I know it's a lot of information, no worries. There's going to be a guide provided to you, an example of one already filled out so that you can get an idea of how to complete this form. Okay, so we talked about documents. Now, where can you get the documents or who provides them? So your application form, passport size photo, passport, and your photocopies of your state ID or license and G-World card, that is your responsibility. Of course, we will provide you the application form, but again, it is your responsibility to complete it, make any scans, any photocopies, make sure your passport is up to date, etc. So for your round trip flight information, that is your responsibility to acquire, to book them, either you or your family. You need to print that confirmation, make sure it has your name, the dates, entering and exiting Italy, that sort of thing. Health insurance. So you will see that GW or our office, as well as your program or institution, can provide the health insurance. If you're doing a provider program, so those are programs like CIEE, IES, what's another one? IFSA or IFSA, they will also have you enrolled in health insurance. And when you get your acceptance letter, they will provide you also a health insurance letter. You are encouraged to use that letter since you have that. Um, if you are doing a GW exchange or direct enroll, so those are programs like GW exchange with ESADE or Navarra, or even doing a GW Madrid study program with us, then we will provide you with the GeoBlue health insurance letter. If you're doing the batch and the letter hasn't been uploaded into your document section, no worries. We will upload and print it and add it to your application with the batch. But if you are applying individually, then you make sure to reach out to your advisor or to myself, telling us when you have your appointment so we can request this health insurance and have it ready by the time you have your appointment. So make sure to reach out to us so that we know that you need to get it sooner. Program acceptance, of course, that's going to come from your program, either your provider or your Spanish host institution. So that'll be given by them. Your proof of enrollment, so it's just making sure you are a US student here enrolled at GW. This letter will be provided by our office. It'll be a confirmation of enrollment letter that kind of, states that you're going to be a full-time student still here at GW, as well as your expected graduation date. And then a financial support letter from our office, just stating that tuition and all of that has been already arranged and to be paid by GW. So the proof of enrollment is going to be 2 letters. it will be uploaded into your document section. If not, we will add it to your application if doing batch. Again, if you're applying individually on your own, make sure to reach out and let us know that you need this sooner. Okay, accommodations. Some of your programs will provide accommodations, so you can get proof from them, either in your acceptance letter or a separate letter. But if not, then it is your responsibility to find your own housing and have that proof. Financial means, GW will provide again, financial support letter, but mainly the responsibility is on you to, provide your own 3 most recent bank statements meeting or exceeding the minimum of 4,000 per ending balance of your bank statements or your parents' bank statements with the additional documents required. And the visa fee, that is your responsibility either to purchase the money order of the exact amount, or if you go in person to pay it then and there with exact cash. Hold off again on purchasing the money order until we've confirmed the visa fee. So confirmation probably won't be until later in the semester, so you can hold that off, but we will tell you when you can go. Okay, the cost. If you're doing the OSA batch process and the visa isn't ready before you depart, so before the end of the semester, we do have the option to mail it back to you. Of course, there's going to be a fee, and you're expected to pay the shipping costs of it. So we usually mail it through FedEx. We try to overnight it, so it should arrive in a day or two. But that charge will then be added and show up in your GW student account or your e-bill. So if you see a charge of some money and we had to mail your passport back to you, it's most likely for that. The visa fee, again, $56.60 was like a previous cycle's costs. So don't think that this is going to be the final visa fee. Don't purchase any money orders. Once we do give you the green light to purchase your money order, you can purchase a money order at a Western Union, MoneyGram, a US Postal Service, or some CVS. So the CVS near campus, they sell money orders, and I think it's through MoneyGram, so you can go there. But again, just hold off until we give the green light. Okay. Mailing and travel. So if you're not in the DC area prior or after to the visa appointment, you would of course need to mail in your visa documents to us so we can have it if you're doing the batch. Of course, we don't recommend students to mail any documents to us because there's always the issue of it getting lost. So if you're abroad or whatnot, make sure to reach out to us so we can see and figure out when it'd be possible if you're able to join our batch or if you need to apply independently. We also tell students that you should not make any international travel plans while, working on getting your visa, just because you are relinquishing your passport. And there's no certainty of when you will get it. So we have a rough estimate of how long the process can take. But there can be external factors, and it's all dependent on the Italian embassy, consulate, or the government, and how quick they can get through them. If you do need to make any international travel plans over the summer, or if you're an international student, then you definitely should apply individually, and hopefully you're able to get your appointment or your visa back before you depart. Hey, traveling. So when booking your flights, we always tell students to book roughly around your program start and end dates. Um, just because Italy has this policy where upon arrival or upon entering the country, you have 8 days to apply for your residence permit. Um, if you go past the 8 days, you might get fined or you can get in some legal trouble. Hence why we want you to arrive as close as possible to your program start date to ensure you have enough time to attend to your program's orientation. At your program's orientation, they will most likely go over how to apply for your residence permit, and perhaps even guide you and even go with you. Again, it varies by program, but it's always better to have that guidance from them on site. If not, if you arrive too early, you will need to figure out on your own how to apply for your residence permit. So to avoid that, just don't arrive too early. Throughout the semester, we will have more info sessions and document review sessions. Take advantage of that, especially for students who may not go through the batch process. You want to have a second pair of eyes when you do go to your appointment, but it's open for all. We recommend you to take advantage of that so that we can review your documents before you submit it to us or the embassy if you're going on your own. It helps us catch any discrepancies or issues, and kind of give you more guidance. Though we do have guidance and we offer reviewing of the documents, the ultimate discretion is up to the embassy on what they accept or not. So last semester, there were some things that we reviewed, and the embassy had to ask us additional questions. So again, it varies, but for the most part, having us review your documents is better than not having us to review your documents. On the screen, you will see some important dates to keep in mind. We have the two visa info sessions. So we have one on Thursday, February 5th, as well as on February 25th. These are all in person. You can get more details on where the location is at our OSA website under the events section. We will have two visa drop-in sessions. So once you've attended an info session, like today or any of those later, you can bring any documents you've already gathered and we can say if it's fine or if you're missing anything else. And then we have the OSA's batch deadline and the deadline or batch submitted to the embassy. We placed around April for the batch deadline and around April and May for when we submitted to the embassy, just because we're still in the talks and the works with the embassy and figuring out when we can get an appointment with them. So depending on when they allow us to, get an appointment for our group, if it's possible, the other dates might shift. So just keep a lookout on our website. It'll have the most up-to-date information. So yeah, the dates might be subject to change, but we will let you know as soon as we're aware and finalize that. Okay, so again, the OSA batch submission, if you're going through us, it will be around April. Students need to fill out a liability waiver, to ensure that we can handle your documents and submit on your behalf. But you will see here that batch is to be determined. Again, we're hoping that the embassy will allow batch this semester. Last semester, they let us know once the semester already started, and they gave us a cap of like 80 students, 80 applicants. So this semester, we're asking them if batch is still possible, when we can get their appointment to submit the visa applications to them, as well as to determine if there's any capacity limits. I know that's up in the air, so we recommend students that if you're able to get an appointment on your own with the Italian embassy, then, apply independently. Just try to get an appointment around a time when you anticipate you will get your acceptance letter. So it's all dependent on your acceptance letter and when your program gives them to you. If they give it earlier, as soon as you have that, you can submit as if you can find an appointment. But any batch information details we will share as soon as we have finalized that. Hey, turnaround time. As I mentioned earlier, the embassy in DC is currently understaffed, so it might, delay a few, but from our previous experience, it's been within a week to 2 weeks for the visa to get processed, but we recommend you to kind of expect the possibility of up to 4 weeks. So just keep that in mind that once we submit your visa application or once you submit your visa application to the embassy, uh, roughly give it a month. And within the month, it should be fine if everything goes well. Of course, if there's any issues in your application, that's going to obviously add like delays. Um, For those who are applying individually on your own, the embassy will reach out to you and tell you what documents you need to submit. For those who are doing batch, they will notify us and then we'll reach out to you to gather any missing documents or any additional that they need. So that concludes our info session. I know that was a lot of information. We will be sending out an email either later today or Tuesday morning. I was going to say Monday, but Monday is a holiday, with all the links, the box folder link, any forms that you might need, and to keep in mind of the checklist. But that concludes that. Do you have any questions? I know that was a lot. You can submit your questions in the chat. No questions. I will put down my email in the chat. We are going to provide an OSA guide with like all the documents you need to gather, so that can kind of help you keep in order. But feel free to email me with any questions that you might have or attend any of the info sessions that are coming up.